So I was trained by a philosopher called Luciano Floridi, and he's the father of the philosophy and ethics of information. I think he was named the most quoted or the most cited living philosopher. So obviously, huge impact on this field. But Luciano has this really cool way of thinking about the status of data. And normally we think about it as a possession, as something that we own, which would be liken it to like your car. And if somebody does something to your car, it can harm you in certain ways. It may be destruction of property. If someone steals it from you, it's theft, obviously. But in like many times, that kind of ownership lens is useful, and it provides valuable insights to how we should think about data, but it's not the whole story. And Luciano proposes that we should also think about data as something that we are. So rather than a car, our data is kind of like your hand. So what someone does to your data when they steal your data is rather to be linked to like abduction or somebody illicitly touching or violating your physical integrity. And this may strike some people as counterintuitive, of like, well, my data is not something I am, it's something that I own. But let me then suggest this analogy, which may make it a bit easier to think about or to comprehend. Think about what you are. If you try to define, like, what is a person? What are you as a person? What distinguishes you from every other thing in the universe? Okay, you can take two approaches, roughly. You can either say, which is very common, and I think the leading approach in philosophy, that what defines you is a narrative. So you are unique because you have a unique story that has only happened to you. What's a story? What's a narrative? Well, it's a sequence of information. So if you're saying, I am my story, personhood consists of narrative, well, then you're saying personhood consists of information. Another way of approaching this would be, well, I'm not only a narrative, I'm also a physical thing. I am a body. I'm a biological being. That's what defines me. Okay, what is biological being? What distinguishes your biological being from any other biological being? Well, if you zoom into your cells, you will find DNA. What's DNA? It's proteins coded as a chain of information. So, however you want to define it, you're going to boil down to like the smallest common denominator is that a person is her information. And when you think about it this way, you open up an entirely new ethical language for talking about like what is data privacy. So for Luciano, it's essentially about our integrity and our right to self-determination, of defining who we are, of not having others interfere with our literal being as persons.